Big timber, majestic tourism, and a hatchery that gave birth to the golden trout. I'm Wayne Worth, and you're watching On the Road in West Virginia, our 55 counties, Grant County. Long before anything gold was swimming in this river, the South Branch of the Potomac Valley was a haven for Native Americans during the mid to late 1700s. Factor in the French and Indian War, the early white settlers to the region, and a Delaware chief named Killbuck who had more than 60 warriors hungry for scalps, one can only guess it wasn't pretty. One such bloody encounter happened at a place just south of Petersburg called Fort Sibert, which we'll learn more about in Pendleton County segment. Even with the constant fear and danger of the early natives in the region, it didn't stop Lord Fairfax from sending his motley crew into surveying the land that he was inherited, which pretty much comprised of all the eastern panhandle in what we today call Grant County. Once tensions started to die down in the South Branch Valley, much of the fertile bottomland was bought up and turned into farms. The 1860s would bring one of the darkest times in our country's history with the coming of the Civil War. It would also bring a lot of division amongst the communities in the South Branch Valley and the birth of a new county. Fort Mulligan, being probably one of the best preserved historical fortifications in our state, was also one of the most strategic fortifications in West Virginia during the Civil War. The fort, which is situated in Petersburg, was a middle point between the Middle Shenandoah and the Upper Potomac Valleys. Now the fort was mainly used as a jumping off point in stopping Confederate raids on the B&O Railroad to the north and to keep old Stonewall Jackson's Valley campaign at bay. As for real battles in the county, the Battle of Greenland Gap was the most notable, but was nothing more than two small Union regiments who gallantly delayed General William Jones's Jones and Bowdoin raid a few hours before eventually surrendering. It would be the Civil War's social impact, though, that would create a divide amongst citizens in what was then Hardy County, which would result in the creation of a pro-Union Grant County in 1866. Post-Civil War industries would consist of continual growth in farming, especially the production of livestock and eventually poultry. However, it would be the arrival of the timber industry during the late 1800s and early 1900s that would bring an economic boom to Grant County like no other. Much of the large-scale timbering took place in the northern end of the county and has been attributed to aiding in the expansion of major population centers on the East Coast. Towns like Gormania and Petersburg also built large tanneries as chestnut oak tree bark became a huge commodity in the region. It's even been said that the tannery in Gormania may have possibly been the largest in the world. The coming of what was then the Hampshire and Southern Railroad in 1910 also brought growth to the Petersburg area. Although the timber industry, like many other natural resource industries, has seen its continual booms and busts over the years, it's still a viable part of Grant County's economy today. Now, it didn't stop there, as the 1960s also brought this man-made wonder. The construction of the Mount Storm Lake in 1965 was not built like other lakes across our state, which were mainly made for flood control purposes, but exclusively to supply water to a 1,600 megawatt coal-fired power plant. What is interesting is that the lake is also used for recreational purposes and the water stays pretty warm year-round, which makes for some great fishing, even in the winter months. Now, we can't forget about another industry that has been a constant over the years and will be for years to come. The sheer beauty of Grant County and its natural wonders makes this wild and wonderful place a tourist magnet. So whether your view is underground in a room of a million stalactites at Smokehole Caverns or on top of Dolly Sods gazing out at the majestic and rugged South Branch Valley, it's definitely an experience that represents the very best of almost heaven. Oh, and if trout fishing is your thing, Grant County is also home to the golden trout. Now, it all started at the Petersburg Fish Hatchery in 1955 when the hatchery manager noticed a fingerling with yellow spots amongst the rainbow trout. Within a year, this once fingerling spawned with a rainbow trout, producing new eggs, which were then transferred to the Spring Run Fish Hatchery. Within weeks, the new fingerlings developed a true golden color, giving birth to the golden trout, which is now a pretty common fish throughout our state's many creeks and rivers. From the early timber that built our major U.S. cities to the tourism and the very road that brings people from those major cities, Grant County will always be one of our state's most captivating treasures. I'm Wayne Worth, and until next time, always remember, what we value and hold important to our lives today came from events that happened yesterday, and it's when we begin to understand the events of yesterday that we fully embrace today, which makes tomorrow become less of a mystery.